I want you to pour yourself a glass of water before you pour yourself a cup of coffee or tea. Let me explain this. What's the very first thing you drink in the morning? It's most likely a big cup of coffee or some tea. And the first thing that you drink in the morning, this is a very important decision. Just consider the word we use for the first meal of the day. It's breakfast. You're breaking the fast. Break fast. In other words, the food that you're eating breaks the fast from overnight when you were sleeping. I want you to extend that same thinking to the first thing that you drink every morning, because you're probably making the same mistake that I did. Instead of drinking something that helps you, that makes you feel incredible, that helps you focus, you're probably making the mistake that I used to make. And that is the very first thing that I used to drink every single morning was a giant cup of coffee, usually with artificial sweeteners and a creamer. I mean, the more it tasted like candy, woohoo, the faster I drank that puppy. And then, I had the audacity to stand there after I would have a big cup of coffee on an empty stomach and break out into a sweat. My anxiety would spike, and then I'd start to get the shakes. And if I were going to an exercise class and I'd feel like throwing up, then I'd always be running to the bathroom. And I had the audacity of being like, oh, I wonder what's wrong with me. Oh, do you think it could have been that gigantic cup of Java lava that you just shoved into your stomach and spiked your anxiety, Mel? I mean, give me a break. And this is where false confidence comes in. You know that army crawling your way to the coffee maker and slamming down a big cup of coffee because you're tired, it's not good for you. But somehow you convince yourself that you need it, that you're tired, that you can't wake up without your coffee. How many times have you said, oh, I'm really sorry, I haven't had my coffee yet, that's why I'm not thinking straight? I used to say that for years. In fact, I wore it like a badge of honor. I lived for my first cup of coffee, and then my second, and then around 2 or 3, I needed my third. And this is where the decision comes in and the research that supports it that will change your life. I want you to pour a glass of water and drink it before you pour a cup of coffee or tea. And there's a bazillion reasons why. Number 1, caffeine on an empty stomach spikes your cortisol levels. And that will make your anxiety and your stress worse. And I am sure that it is not helping your gut health. But the second reason, and this is really the game changer. The second reason is you think that caffeine helps you wake up. Believe it or not, caffeine, first thing in the morning, makes you feel more tired, not awake. And I want to share some groundbreaking research that has changed my decision. I pour water and I drink water before I pour coffee. It makes me feel incredible. I cannot believe the impact of this. Dr. Amy Shaw first explained this on the Mel Robbins podcast. Yes, I still drink coffee, but I've made the decision to pour water and drink it first. And I make the decision to not have coffee until about 90 minutes after I wake up. And here's the crazy thing. Not only am I more awake and alert and my mood is better and I don't have anxiety now that I do this, I never experience the afternoon slump. And I used to be so predictable. 2 p.m., need some coffee. I don't feel that anymore. This is research that you need to understand that will change your decision and will have you pour water and drink water before you have a cup of coffee. And it is research around something called adenosine. Adenosine is basically a chemical in your body that signals to your brain that you're really sleepy. So when you have a lot of adenosine, you feel sleepy. And during the day, adenosine starts to build up in your body. And it reaches the highest levels right before you go to bed. Okay? And there's a reason why adenosine is building up all day. And the reason why is because the adenosine kind of signals that it's time to go to bed and you're feeling really sleepy, And as you're sleeping, that adenosine level, it starts to reduce in your body. Why? Because you're sleeping. You don't need the adenosine anymore because you're actually falling asleep. But here's the thing. When you wake up in the morning, you still have a little bit of adenosine in your system, according to the research. That's why when you wake up, it's one of the reasons why you still feel kind of groggy. It's like the adenosine. And based on the research, it takes about an hour or two after you wake up for the adenosine to truly leave your brain and to drop down to like zero, okay? Here's where the caffeine comes in. And this is really important because it's based on research. Again, Dr. Amy Shaw, who appeared on the podcast, shared this with you and me. The moment you have caffeine binds to the ends of the neuroreceptors in your brain, and it prevents the adenosine from truly flushing out of your system. Basically, caffeine, first thing in the morning, traps adenosine in your brain. And so when you have caffeine and you trap this sleepy chemical in your brain, and so you're okay for about an hour or two, and then what happens? The caffeine wears off. What happens to the adenosine that's in your brain? It now is in your system, which is why you feel a little bit of a slump and you need another cup of coffee. So the caffeine isn't making you feel awake. The caffeine is blocking the adenosine from leaving your brain. And now the adenosine is back in your system, which is why you're constantly chasing more caffeine. It's freaking unbelievable. And so here is the advice based on neuroscience and medical research. It's so incredible. Delay caffeine for an hour or two every morning. When you delay caffeine for an hour or two after you wake up, you give your body a chance to flush the adenosine from your system so that when you have the caffeine an hour or two after waking up, it's gone. It can bind to the neuroreceptors in your brain, no problem. And here's what happened for me. This is so cool. When I started pouring a cup of water and drinking it, number one, I was worried about doing this because when I tell you I was addicted to coffee, like it was part of my identity. It was part of my morning routine. Like I was like, I am not giving up caffeine. I don't know what the health experts say, but I'm not doing that. I didn't think I could do this. I had a cup of water and the glass of water fills you up a little bit. It's way better for your gut. Kind of helps you wake up a little bit. It's way better for when you're exercising, if you exercise first thing in the morning like I do. And then I started to notice literally within 3 days, I went from a person who drank 3 or 4 lattes a day or cups of coffee and always battled an afternoon slump every single day to being a person who has a cup of coffee around 10 o'clock in the morning. Half the time I don't even finish it. And I never crave another one. And I never have an afternoon slump. It's like magic, only it's not because it's science. And here's the problem. As you're nodding along, guess who is going to be there tomorrow morning? When you wake up and you go outside and you get your natural light exposure and then you go straight to the coffee maker. Your false confidence is going to be going, oh, come on now. You did the other 2 things. You do not need to do this one. You are not a morning person, woman. You have got to have your cup of coffee. You cannot jump on that Zoom meeting at work or drive those kids to school or say hello to your partner. You cannot do this without the caffeine, that adenosine, sleepy stuff. That does not apply to you. Your brain is not like anybody else's brain. Your brain does not work like that. Your brain needs caffeine. I don't know about that adenosine thing, that sleepy stuff thing that Mel Robbins was talking about, but that does not apply to you. You are going to tank if you do this. I'm not kidding. Tell that false confidence to take their caffeine addiction somewhere else. You, my friend, are going to use the science. You are going to make a different decision. You're going to try this for 3 mornings. Pour a cup of water before you pour a cup of coffee or tea. Drink your water and delay the caffeine intake for at least an hour and see what happens. Because if you make the easy decision and you do what you always do, and you let your false confidence convince you that you're the only human being on the planet that this doesn't apply to, you're actually creating that afternoon slump. Do not do that to yourself. Make the harder decision. Pour the water before the coffee, and you make your life easier. Because you're using science to make your brain work better, to boost your focus, to take care of your gut, to lower your anxiety, and to take control. And that will make you feel incredible. False confidence. It's killing your mornings. I'm serious about this. False confidence is showing up in 3 places every single morning. And it's very sneaky, by the way.